you want to start it or you want me to start it?
I'll start it.
All right.
Hello, Internet. I'm Dan.
And I'm Chaz, and this is the Wine is Serious Business Show, episode 100.
Big deal.
Yeah, we're back from, Dan's back from his world travels. I'm back from just summer break, and we're back tasting some wines. And we thought for episode 100, we would kind of get back to some wines that we really enjoyed for episode 1. Struggled in that episode. I still feel weird about it. But in episode 1, we drank Riesling for Dan, because Riesling is Dan's favorite grape, and Oregon Pinot Pinot Noir in general is my favorite. And so for episode 100, we're like, let's step back and drink similar stuff that we did in episode 1. So yeah, we have a couple of pretty baller wines tonight. So
yep, celebrating a little bit, drinking some stuff we really like to drink. Kind of my original hope was that we'd hang out all night, you know, celebrate, enjoy the wines, and maybe do our reviews on the last glass of each bottle. It's definitely not going to play out that way. We ended up shooting on a weeknight. We got a ton of other stuff to do, but we can still celebrate, you know, with a glass of some of our favorite wines, stuff that, you know, we like to share with you, and stuff that we're going to enjoy drinking, because we really are here to celebrate. We're so thrilled that this has gone on for over 2 years now. You know, episode 100's kind of a big deal. Like, you get to this point, like, we're having fun with it. It's not, you know, unreasonable drain on the rest of our lifestyles.
No, it's fun. It's enjoyable because we get to experience all these wines as we're doing it. Like, I wouldn't be tasting through all the wines that we taste regularly if we weren't doing the show. And we get to meet fun to get to share that with you guys.
Such interesting people, right? Like, the experiences just keep getting better and better, and we look forward to doing it more often. Man, so much stuff to talk about. We're going to ramble a bit on this one because we can. It's episode 100. We're excited.
Well, the wines we're drinking tonight. Let's talk about the wines first. Okay. So the first wine we're drinking, we're going to drink the 2008 DePonte Cellars Pinot Noir from Dundee Hills. 14.1 alcohol, and when we filmed our first episode, we drank 2006. Yep. Which I thought, you know, as far as 2006s go, that was kind of, we all know how the 2006 vintage went and how the wines are showing now. I still think that wine is possibly the best 2006 Pinot I've ever had.
It's fantastic stuff.
It's just delicious, and it delivers on that Dundee Hills terroir so well. And then what we drink for the Riesling? This is one.
I want to make one more point about this too. So we did taste this with the winemaker Isabel. We did the interview with her, but that was quite a while ago. I don't remember exactly when. Maybe almost a year ago now, I think. Right, because that was in the winter. I want to say that was maybe like January or February.
It was good then. So
yeah, so this is like same wine, but well along the road, and especially a year after release, there's a lot of evolution that takes place, so it should be kind of an interesting chance to check in on a wine that we both are pretty fond of. Yeah. For Riesling, we've got one of my favorite producers out of the Mosel, Josh Christoffel Jr., the winemaker's gentleman by the name of Kayo, who I was fortunate enough to be able to visit while I was in the Mosel recently. Fantastic gentleman, making fantastic wines. Very interesting in that he regularly releases aged bottles that he keeps in the cellar and releases when he thinks they're ready to drink.
That's awesome.
So, you know, keep your eyes open, because it's a great source of older Rieslings on the market, a great way to find out how Riesling ages. A high-quality producer with some great vineyards. What we've got here today is 1992 from the Ürziger Würzgarten. It's an Auslese, so made with sweeter grapes. And in truth, the alcohol is a little lower, so it's kind of a sweeter style. But since it's a 92, a lot of that's kind of come down a little bit. You're getting a little more finesse, a little more secondary flavor. Really interesting. I blew this up in a tasting I did, again, really within the last year. Yeah. Big lineup of other Rieslings. Might be one of the highest rated wines I've ever put on Cellar Tracker.
It was
where it's
96 points?
Some 96 or 97, something like that. Just tons of flavor. There's a lot of good complexity in it. And you know, so out of the past year, that's one of the wines that really stood out to me. And I was fortunate enough to get a couple more bottles. Wanted to share it with you guys. So that's what we're drinking tonight. Let's get into the Pinot Noir.
Yeah. This was a little cold. We pulled it out of the cellar not too long ago, so we're drinking a little under room temperature. I would say probably in like the 70 degree range, 68 degree range.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 100% Pinot Noir on the nose. Like, there's no question about that. You're getting like dark cherries, a little bit of tartness, little bit of oak showing through, but just kind of around the sides. The fruit's really front and center.
And almost a little bit of spiciness too, like a little bit of like almost cinnamon or clove going on in it. Along with a lot of that red fruit that you expect from Oregon Pinot, right? Like bright cherries, maybe a little bit of tart raspberry. Oh, smells awesome.
Yeah, complex and balanced.
Almost a little sweet edge. Like that's what I sort of attribute to Dundee Hills fruit. Like there's a little bit of a sweetness to the red fruit, but there's no sugar in the wine. Like you drink it, it's completely dry, but like when you smell it, like there's like this sweet edge to the fruit that I don't get in any other AVA.
Just fantastic. Like great raspberries coming through on the nose now too. And what I love about the Dundee Hills is that very frequently they're really soft on the palate. They've got this real elegant feel to them. You know, and DePonte consistently delivers, right, brings that out of the grapes, you know, with the winemaking, with the barrel treatment, with the care of the sites, like it really comes through, and this is no exception. It feels great on the palate, good balance.
Yeah, the distribution of fruit, it's a weird term to use when talking about this wine, but like the way the fruit comes across on the palate is just like it's high intensity, but it's high intensity throughout without being heavy, and awesome acidity, like totally carries the fruit through in the finish, and there's just enough tannins. The tannins are there, but they're like definitely in the background. The intensity of the fruit is almost overwhelming at this point.
You're getting great strawberry and cherry flavors. Yeah. Strawberries like start in, the cherries kind of rise up a little bit later.
We're not talking jammy, we're talking like fresh flavors.
Totally, right, like biting right into the fruit, and then they just sit on the middle of the palate. Like you said, you get some of those structural elements. You get the acidity drying things out fully. We both like plenty of acidity. You guys know that. The tannins settle in around the sides of the palate. I've become more and more fond of that over time. That's where I like the tannins to sit. You can get the fruit and the acidity in the center, and the tannins kind of drying things out, giving a little bit of structure on the sides. It really helps keep that balance. I've been really fond of it. It all lasts for a long. My mouth's watering.
Yeah. And the fruit, when I first opened this, and like poured the first glass, didn't warm it up at all. We opened this up a little bit and like kind of let them sit in the glass to like open up a little bit, right? And the first glass, like I took the first drink, couldn't even taste it hardly. It was just strong acidity, a little bit of tannin, and then as soon as I swallowed it, all of a sudden I got this massive burst of fruit, and that doesn't come across as such an overwhelming burst now because the fruit is so large on the palate and the mid palate and the finish. But man, there's still I'm still tasting the wine. Since the last time I tasted it, I've talked for the last 30 seconds. Still tasting this wine. Awesome.
And I think it's
awesome finish.
Great example of like really good use of oak, because you taste a little bit of it again at the back end, but it's kind of on the outside. It's kind of a peripheral element supporting the fruit, getting structure.
This
kind of like a good feeling. Yeah, it's showing really well right now. So those of you in Oregon who have some of this on hand, treat yourself to a bottle. It's drinking real nice right now.
But it will continue to age and gracefully. Like this has got structural elements. It'll be fine for years. 92 points for me. Awesome. Fantastic bottle of wine. 93 points for me.
Good. That makes it easier.
There you go.
It's just like 93
points.
I think it's a little better than 91.
This is really good. This is stepping into that level. I had that conversation with Jesus on the forums at one point. Like this is
don't hold yourself back.
No, don't hold myself back. This is drinking very well tonight. Absolutely.
And I'm going to go... Yeah, so I'm going to go the 92. That's what I was glad. I'm just a little bit behind him, but still on point. And what's really making it stand out for me is, right, the balance and the length is really showing well right now.
The length is substantial. That's crazy. That's crazy good.
Solid stuff. So we were talking right before we fired the camera up. We're just like, it's actually really good to get back to this. Like, we've both been away from it for a couple months. Like, I've been out doing a bunch of crazy stuff. I'm sure he's been doing a bunch of things too, like a bunch of projects. Yeah, running. Oh yeah, marathon in what, 2 days or something?
2 days. I run a marathon, Portland Marathon. So
you're gonna see Scott Ball there, right?
Yeah. I pushed him to see what time he was gonna do, and he just said he was running it. So
nice. What about you?
I guess 4:20.
Okay. I have no idea.
4:20. If I ran 10-minute miles for the entire marathon, that would be 4 hours and 20 minutes roughly.
Sure.
So
feeling strong?
Yeah, I ran 18 miles for my last training run, and I did it in a 9:30 or 9:35 average pace. So I'm feeling good. So I think I could push those last 8 miles. Have no problem. Anyway,
that's good stuff.
Yeah. So I've been drinking a lot of beer in the meantime. I feel like I've been neglecting beer because Dan and I film the show. When my weekends are only 3 and 4 days long. Well, only 3 and 4 days long. Shut up! But I work 12.5-hour shifts. Okay, so I can't drink on my work days. So I feel like I've neglected beer over the course of the last year and a half because I just haven't been giving its due. So while Dan was gone doing his world travels, I really put a lot of time and effort into drinking a lot of different beers locally, kind of getting that soaked in as much as I possibly could. Sure. So then when he came back, it's like let's get back to the sauce. So.
Yeah, catch up. We were just talking about there are so many wines out there that we want to get on the show. Stuff we see on the shelves. We're like, boy, I wonder what that tastes like. Or I'm curious to see what the 2010 of this wine tastes like. You know, a lot of higher end 2009s are starting to work their way out too. Yeah. Ton of stuff showing up we want to try. So let's get it on the show.
The more reading I've done about 2010 Oregon Pinots, that it very well could. The wines that are out there, there very well could be some really, really good wine.
Yep.
It's sort of a cross between 2008 and 2007, so as far as vintage goes. And I mean, it had a very, very long growing season, which is cold, right? So.
And fascinating to see, right? Yeah. So you're seeing winemaker comments and kind of discussions you hear around wine. Last year, people started to get pretty optimistic this time of year. And in my mind, I'm just like, okay, this is hype, right? As business, you've got to talk up how it's going to be good because, you know, you can't, as a seller of wine, talk about how bad it's going to be this year. Mm-hmm. In contrast, this year, 2011, is so cold, I'm still hearing more nervous talk that I didn't hear at all last year.
No, there's grumblings from winemakers on Facebook.
Which kind of highlights that last year actually really did come around for a lot of people towards the end, and that they feel good about what they were able to harvest, you know, and the wine that they were able to turn that into. So we're looking forward to trying some of them, sharing them with you. So, wine number 2.
On to this 1992 Auslese.
Yeah. Ürziger Würzgarten, one of my favorite vineyards, spicy, red slate, spicy relative to other Rieslings, I'm going to say. Like, right, you're not going to get like Zinfandel spice out of something like this. But it's a vineyard that's got great character from a winemaker that's been working with it for decades. Ton of history here. Fantastic stuff. The age character is definitely showing on the palate.
Yeah. It's like honey and apple pie. Right, like
yeah, and like some thick butterscotch.
Oh yeah,
showing on there too, right? You kind of lean towards that petrol, but I'm not really going to go there. There's like ghosts of it, right? But that shows more as like a little bit of a herbal scent. But I'm going to go with like the butterscotch and like the baked apples. Like the maturity there is there. Like the apples have been, a little bit of oxygen on the apples, but it's got a real elegance to it already.
I'm going to stand by my honey. The baked apples. The baked apples thing that Dan was talking about, I see that as like apple pie, and it definitely comes through pretty strongly on the nose for me.
And this has actually become more enjoyable even as it's been open for a few minutes too.
These are pop and pours essentially. Like
pretty much, yeah.
We've had these open for about 15 to 20 minutes at this point. Man, it smells like a peanut brittle thing going on too.
A lot of that stuff carries right into the palate. I'm getting some of that butterscotch around the sides. I'm getting some of that baked apple peel where it's a little thicker, right? Again, I get you a little more of that like oxidized fruit flavor kind of across the back. I won't say that the wine is very oxidized, right? But you're getting that flavor as it's applied to fruit. Maybe a little bit of peach skin as well. And there's like a little bit of apricot things going on the side. Everything here has a really light, gentle touch to it. And as I'm talking, it's bringing back why I got so excited about this wine. The acidity here is phenomenal. It's got this totally graceful, elegant touch, and it's almost not noticeable right when you get it into your mouth. And then after you swallow, after it's gone, you're getting like these later fruit flavors. The acidity just slowly grows, really gently and elegantly drying the mouth out, making your mouth water, and you're just like, oh, something cool's going on here. And then it just gets fuller and fuller, and you got these ghosts of fruit flavors going on while suddenly your mouth's just like fully watering without it ever having that sharp edge that a lot of acidity can have.
I would agree. It almost plays tricks on you because initially, like, you taste it and it's delicious and like the fruit is there, but it sort of falls off. It doesn't fall off, I should say. It closes up pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But then the acidity is still sitting there like with full intensity on the tongue, and as soon as you're done swallowing it, it like rises up. and presents more fruit, which is surprising. Yeah. It
Yeah,
fools
and
you.
actually, boy,
you're like, this isn't too bad. Oh shit, this is quite good.
And again, it's totally opened up. The first little taste we had to make sure it was okay. It wasn't there so much, but this is really starting to show what I fell in love with. And he hit right on it. And even when I had it the first time, that was my experience. Your first sip, you're like, oh, that's kind of nice. And then like, what's happening? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, yeah. And the acidity's rising up. And then you're like, yeah, the fruit's still there. You got some like great green apples, almost reminiscent of like fresh Riesling, just sitting in the center of the palate.
And it just makes your mouth water, like puckers it. The only thing you really want to do is take another sip.
Because it does, because there is that like, what's going on? Like, did that just happen? Let me try that again. Yeah, like yeah, it's going on. And since it's these like later components, it's kind of like almost the fruit is almost like tied right into the structure. The fruit continues to build. Like as you have subsequent sips, you're getting more and more fruit out of it.
Yeah, as it coats the inside of the mouth more and it's left over. It's very, very cool wine.
And again, right, to get something that's almost 20 years old.
It's true, yeah.
Like, to get that kind of pop on the finish.
Yeah, the intensity here is quite amazing. That said, for me, like that early palate, like, and I guess that's why this wine is like so enjoyable, is that early palate for me is like, man, you would just hope, this is Auslese, there would be a bit more thickness, or there'd be a bit more roundness to the fruit initially. Mm-hmm. But man, that pickup of acidity on the finish, and then I would say the next 10 seconds to 15 seconds are really what this wine is about. It's almost like,
totally,
this wine is not about what it tastes like when it's in the mouth, it's about what it tastes like after you've swallowed it.
Yeah.
So where do you score on this? Because for someone like me, I would say, like initially I wish there was a bit more intensity to the fruit, a bit more roundness. But there is an undeniable feel to the acidity and the finish that this wine has. And it's like, you can't even call this balanced, or I can't call this balanced, but the finish, like the way that this wine evolves on the palate is undeniably good. 93 points? 93, I would say. I'd settle in there, 92, 93 points. Amazing. Yeah. A real eye-opener as to what's available with Riesling. Like, Riesling is such an awesome grape.
And this is around something. It's not easy to find, but it's out there. So if you call around, you can probably still find some in Portland. I'm gonna go 90. I'm gonna go 94 points on it now. No, I'm gonna go 95. I'm gonna take it up to 95 because I'm loving.
This is your palate right here.
It is like I'm loving what's going on late, and I totally agree. Like the two places where things could be better. And I know another one of our friends kind of like didn't enjoy it as much because the nose isn't really jumping out of the glass at you. It's not bowling you over, right? It's a little more subdued. I still like it. And the front end, again, like you could have a little more hit on there, but he really nailed it. Where this really comes into play is after you sit down and think about it and get to know it a little bit, and then some amazing things start happening that never quit being exciting. Like every time that acidity rises up, carrying the fruit with it, you're like, awesome, 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 awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and you talked about subtlety and elegance that this wine had before. Like this definitely has that. Like it's almost Burgundian in character, right? Like it's not an upfront wine. Like this is sit down, think about it, have a conversation with it, and it's gonna tell you.
Yep, you're not gonna pound it down. You're not gonna mix it into cocktails. You're not gonna do. This is. Yeah. An experience in and of itself, and it's having a great time.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing it. It's awesome.
Totally. Yeah, this is a blast, and what probably
it smells awesome. I don't know. It's quite good.
All the way up to 8.5% alcohol. So less than some beers.
It's sobering me up.
Right. Right.
Dan and I had a conversation about this. Right, like what were you saying? Like you can drink Riesling all day pretty much, and you sort of plateau at a certain place because alcohol's so low, and you're out doing stuff. You're busy. You can't get.
Yeah, if you're not doing glass after glass, like that was an amazing experience. I was at a street festival. Everybody's drinking wine, and you've essentially got wine in your glass all the time. But you're walking around, you're talking to people, you're not drinking constantly, and you start to feel it after a little bit. But we were out there for hours, and it never turns into a big mess. And I was just thinking that whole time, right? If I was in Walla Walla having the same experience. we'd be begging for a cab, or or like trying to find some place.
I was begging for a cab.
Right. So, so it's fascinating. These lower alcohol wines like really facilitate kind of enjoying the experience and remaining social, for a long period of time too. And that's an element that I'm really excited to get back to the show too, because while it's great to check out the wines on a regular basis, it's also pretty nice to have like an excuse every week to hang out for an hour with one of your friends and drink some wine together. Yeah, which has been one of the solid benefits of this show too. So it's nice to get back into the routine of stuff you like at home after traveling for so long. And I'm sure I'm going to fill up many minutes in future episodes with ramblings about my travels. We've got some Spanish wines coming soon. We'll have some German wines from the trip coming later. They're still kind of roughly in transit, more or less.
I promise you we'll give really good coverage to 2010. I'm really excited to try these wines.
Nice.
So we're going to put a lot of, I think, 2010 will advise, or at least I would like to see a lot of 2010
What are the top couple? What are the top couple you really are looking forward to get on the show?
I saw the Evesham Wood 2010 Willamette Valley. I really want to try that one. And then there's just some producers that we know and are fond of that their 2010s are starting to hit broadly.
I'm looking forward to trying the broadly. Actually, now that
the Graukow Cellars 2010 Commuter Cuvée. Those wines, I just want to get into them. I want to try all these wines because
that's right. Sharecropper should be out soon.
There's like sort of an interesting buzz about in 2010. We knew what 2009 was going to turn into, but 2010 is sort of a mystery, and I'm really excited to try those. Yeah,
and a little more of a challenge, right? I'd say a lot of the last 10 years have been approachable vintages. Say what you will about 2007. I think the truth is that it really wasn't all that bad, Yeah. But 2007, I think, certainly provided more of a challenge. I mean, in 2011 is going to be a bizarre.
We got our fingers crossed for you. Every day I wake up, I look at the weather report, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I hate hot weather, but I'm actually hoping, for a week or two of 90 degrees too, just something. Let the wine happen. Let the grapes do what they want to do.
Just get it up into the high 70s, low 80s during the day, and back down into the high 40s, low 50s at night. Just for a week. Just something.
And I'm really excited for the interviews we got coming up. I talked about them in episode 99 a bit. But actually, since that happened, we're looking forward to hopefully having something with Marcus from Metello coming in soon. And
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
A cool dude. I've talked to him before a couple times.
Yeah.
Small doses.
Should be a really good time. Our friend Bo, who you've met before, is moving up to Portland for sure now. So you'll be seeing him on a few more shows. But it's going to be a good time, and I think it's going to be kind of a growth of like a culture of kind of like wine blogging or whatever that we're a little more tied into. Since this isn't like a professional gig for us, we're not as tied into the social element as a lot of other people who blog essentially as their full-time project.
Yeah.
And so it'll be fun to just kind of like fall into that and have a little more of a community to be working within on a regular basis. That'll be a lot of fun. Wine Bloggers Conference is here in Portland.
It's going to be a disaster.
For next year, too. That's going to be a great party. Really good times.
I'm not going to learn anything.
No, we'll learn some things.
Dan may learn something.
Yeah, we're going to make some t-shirts probably.
All right, so question of the day. Did you think of anything?
No, I didn't think of anything.
What did you do with your summer?
There you go.
I did a lot of running. Dan traveled the world.
Yeah.
What did you guys do? All right, we'll see you guys for 101, which is a blooper reel.
It's going to happen. Cheers.